This is Contemporary Chinese, Volume 2, Lesson 3, Dialogue 2. And in this dialogue we have Martin and Wang Ying, who are classmates, and they meet in the schoolyard or the university campus yard. And Martin says to Wang Ying, 下课啦, 下课啦. And as it says there, that's a greeting. And we talked about alternative greetings in the lecture today. We gave another example of a greeting when you meet somebody that you know reasonably well, either from work or from where you live, or in this case at school. And that greeting was 早饭吃过了吗? 早饭吃过了吗? So I might just type that in. 早饭吃过了吗? And as we said in the lecture, basically when you meet people that you know well, often you will greet them in a way that's appropriate to the context that you greet them in. So in this case, because they're in the university or the school, it seems appropriate to use the concept of going to class or finishing class as a way of greeting each other. The la in this, as it says in the notes below, is a contraction of le and a to become la, and the le is still performing its normal function. The a in this case, generally speaking, is there because it indicates that I'm using this form of greeting you because I basically know that that's what the situation is. It's because we're both at the university and you're most likely just finished class. An alternative way to say that would be 你下课了吧? Oops, wrong bar. 你下课了吧? That would mean the same thing. That could also be used as a greeting. Oops, actually I don't want to do that. Sorry, not right now. Okay, so moving along. Wang Ying responds 下课了. Now in this case, she doesn't use the a. That's only used, for example, in the question, mainly because it means something similar to that. It assumes that that's the case. And she asked the question, 你去哪儿? I think we all understand what that means. And then Ma Ding replies, 图书馆还书, 还书. So as we know from the discussion of our vocab list, basically that means to return a book. And in this case, you don't need to use the quantity and the measure word 还一本书 unless that's important. If you want to emphasize that it is one book that's being returned, sure, use 一本. Otherwise, if it's just returning a book or books in general, then you don't need the quantity and the measure word. Okay, so then Wang Yi goes on, she says 什么书? 什么书? I think for you guys that's easy. Ma Ding then replies 一本美国人写的书. 书名叫怎么跟中国人做生意? 你看过吗? So, okay, it's talking about information being given here. So really, she's asked about what book or books. Okay, so now we're going to give some more information about the book or books. And then the information that we're giving, have I got anything here I can draw a straight line with? Okay. Is all of this information 一本美国人写的. So if we look at this, we've actually got a couple of bits of information. 一本, so it's one book. 美国人, so American, 写的, so it is a book written by Americans. So all of this underlined part here is what we continuously refer to as the attributive, because it's giving us more information about the attributes of the book. So it's a book that was written by Americans. The next bit, 书名叫. So yeah, I mean basically that just means what it appears to mean, the book name. Book name, 叫 is called 怎么跟中国人做生意. So how with Chinese people do business. Now you remember during the lecture I mentioned that we have the word 生意, which means business, and I said it's a noun, and therefore we need to have a verb to go with it sometimes. And so the verb that goes with it is 做. Okay, 做生意, to do business. Now this 怎么跟中国人, so this bit here where we say, I'm doing really badly with my lines here. 跟中国人做生意 to do business with Chinese people. So the 跟 here is a preposition which means with. So in English we don't say do business Chinese people, we say do business with. So the 跟 is the same as that, it's just the position is different. And the 怎么 I think we already know, and that means how. So this literally comes out as how to do business with Chinese or Chinese people. Ma Ding then asked the question, 你看过吗? And you notice here he uses this character 过 and he's asking in non-time specific terms. He's just asking if at any time in the past you have read the book, and so therefore he uses 过. 你看过吗? Wang Ying then says 听说过. 听说过. So I've heard of it before. Again, non-time specific. 没看过. 没看过. So verb plus 过, but I've never read it before. On that one, be really careful, because it's possible we could give you the English of that in a test and say, how do I say I've never read this book before? And you might say, well, gosh, we've never learned never. But that's how we say it in Chinese. 没看过. So it's 没 plus verb plus 过, meaning never perform that action. Wang Ying then asked the question, 这本书怎么样? 怎么样? And we talked about the differences between, 怎么样 and 怎么 and so on in the last lecture. And here's a great example of 怎么样. So this is asking, what's the book like? How is the book? Ma Ding says 很不错. 很不错. So again, in the first dialogue, I think we came across 不错, and in the vocab we did as well, which means not bad, pretty good. And this is just obviously slightly stronger. So it's pretty good. Probably be more likely to say it's pretty good in English. 你也应该看看. So this 应该 was in our vocab list, so you should also 看看, have a look. So in this case, it says the suggestion. I mean, obviously, Ma Ding is not telling her she has to read it or she should. There's any moral imperative to read it. He's making a suggestion. So 看看 is the way that is expressed. Makes it a little softer. You could also say 你也应该看一下. 你应该看一下. Wang Ying says 那你别还了. 那你别还了. 给我看一下. So 那 here is saying, well then, because he's saying before, it's good, you should read it. And then she says, okay, well then, 别还了, don't return it. And again, we've got our, so just note again that huan, it is huan, it's to return. Context will tell you that anyhow. But even the fact that it's preceded by 别, which is that word that we learned, which means when we're advising somebody to not do something, we use 别. So really, in a way that indicates what follows as a verb, huan. So it wouldn't be 还, which is an adverb. And then we've got our 了. And I think you guys can probably see this as clear as day. He was going to return it. He says it's a great read. You should read it. And then she says, okay, well then don't return it anymore. So the change of, she's suggesting, it's not saying this has happened, she's suggesting a change of state or a change of intention. 给我看一下. So it's not, I mean, it's not literally hand it to me. Well, I guess it could be interpreted as, hand it to me, give it to me to have a read. Or it could also mean, let me have a read of it as well. So you could say, for example, 让我看一下. 让我看一下. Let me type that in. So she could also say, 让我看一下. That could mean the same thing as 给我看一下. So then Ma Ding goes on and says, 恐怕不行. And we saw that in the word list, and it means, yeah, I'm afraid that's not possible. 不行, that's not going to happen. And now we've got the reason. 就要过期了. So again, we've got this, we saw this in the last lesson, the 要 and the 了. which go together, which means something is about to happen fairly soon, fairly immediately. And if you want to emphasize that immediacy even more, you can add a 就 in front of the 要，就要 verb, and then the 了，就要过期了. So it's about to become overdue. And the 了 there again expressing that idea of a change of state. So it's not overdue yet, but it's going to become overdue. 这本书是什么时候借的? So here is an example of the grammar structure that we learned in this lesson, 是 and 的, acting as kind of brackets around information within the sentence that we want to highlight. So in this case, we want to highlight in the question, we want information specifically about when the book was borrowed. So we can use the 是的 there. 这本书是什么时候借的? You could also say 这本书什么时候借的? You can leave out the 是 because that's just one of the features of this structure. And then Ma Ding says 上个月20号快一个月了. Now in this case he doesn't reuse that 是的 structure because he could say 是上个月20号借的. Okay, then he would have to use the verb. But because that's already understood from the previous sentence, basically he just gives the date. And then he says 快一个月了. So that 快 and the 了 also means that something is going to happen soon. And in this case it's saying it's soon going to be 1 month. 快一个月了. So clearly they're only allowed to borrow the books for 1 month. Wang Ying then says 过了期会罚款吧? So she's asking the question, and I guess the thing that's interesting for us here is this use of 过了期. And we said, I think in our vocab list it says 过期 means to be overdue. So based on what we learned about the 了 that means completion of action, and we said in previous lessons that when you got the verb like 过 followed immediately by 了, and then the object of that, which is 期, 过期. So 过 is the verb, 期 is a noun, even though the whole expression means to be overdue. If that noun is unadorned, in other words, there's no attributive before it, there's no other description, no attributes described, it's just plain noun there, 过了期, as we've said on quite a few occasions now before, that just means after it becomes overdue, 过了期. The 会 here, 会罚款吧, 会 means strong possibility. Now I know we've learned 会 before to mean a learned ability, and generally speaking where it means that, it would be followed by some kind of verb which expresses some kind of learned skill. Okay, now in this case 罚款 is not a learned skill. So here the 会 means future possibility in a very strong sense. So if I said to you, for example, I said to you, oh, 你的同学怎么还没来? And then, I'm expressing, and I say, 他来不来? So why is your classmate not arrived yet? Is he going to come? And then you could, for example, if you were quite sure, you knew that your classmate would come, you could say 他会来的, 他会来的. Now that's a very confident statement. It's a very strong statement. She will come. I guess just note when you use it that way with the 会, this is to say this will definitely happen. Then it's the 会 and then also the 的 after the verb. 他会来的. So the 会 there is a strong possibility in the future. So this is saying, so if it's overdue, will you be fined? And the ba there, of course, is assuming that you will. And Ma Ding confirms that and says, 那当然, yes, of course, 那当然, 图书馆有规定, 要是过期不还, 每天罚1块钱. So again, with these longer sentences, just look at them clause by clause And at the end of it, once you've got each clause independently worked out what it means, then think about how do the clauses relate to each other. So 图书馆有规定. The library has, so there's our verb, and then 规定 in our vocab list it said rules or regulations. But we said that 规定 could be both verb and a noun, and in this case we know it's being used as a noun because it's preceded by this verb here, 有. So in English it's easy. The library has rules. 要是过期不还, so here's our if statement. So we learned, it might have even been last semester, or it could have been a couple of lessons earlier. 要是 something something 的话. So remember, I think we learned that you could put in that position there, you know, 的话, that would be the whole expression, but you can also leave it out. 要是过期不还, so if it becomes overdue and is not returned, 每天罚1块钱. So 每天, I'm sure you guys know it means every day. 罚, so here's our verb from the expression 罚款. I've also forgot to mention the 罚 is the verb, 款 means an amount of money. So it's a noun. So this is one of those, again, this is really important, guys. In Chinese, there's a lot of two-character verbs where one of the characters is a real verb and the second character is a noun. And with those kinds of verbs, often, for various reasons, they are split. Okay, so here's a great example. Oh, well, actually, yeah, well, in a way, it's an example. It wasn't one I was thinking of. But here, 罚 is the true verb in that expression. So 罚 can be used together with other kinds of nouns. And so here, 每天罚1块钱. So every day, you'll be fined or penalized 1块, 1块钱. And then Wang Ying says, 哇, which is one of those cute Chinese expressions of surprise. 哇, 这么厉害, 这么厉害. So the 这么 we looked at in the vocab list, and we gave the example of when you might say something to a Chinese person in Chinese, even as simple as 你好, and then they'll go to you, 哇, 你的中文这么好. Your Chinese is so good. So here it means so like this, okay? And what is the this? 厉害, severe. So talking about the fine, saying, oh wow, it's so severe, 这么厉害. 那 again means a decision that's been made, a change of direction. 算了. And as we said in class, and as it says in your vocab list, that just means, well, forget it. Let's not do it. 你快点儿去还吧. And that 快点儿 again means, as it says there, urging, and it literally means so hurry up and do something. And as we mentioned in class, you might be in a situation where you're going to go somewhere and your friend is a little bit slow, and you might say, hey, 你快点吧, 快点, hurry up. So that's what that means there.